Hello and welcome to my latest fighter career video. This is my documentary voice for narrating World War II documentaries. I'm only joking. So welcome to my latest career video. This video is on Philadelphia Jack O'Brien. Okay, Jack O'Brien is the first fighter outside of heavyweight on my new channel, so he will go on my light heavyweight playlist. So let us begin, okay, looking at this boxer's incredibly tough career by starting out with his major opponents. So when we look at slide 1, okay, and Philadelphia Jack O'Brien fought names, and lots of them, and some of them lots of times. So he fought Bobby Dobbs, okay, on 3 occasions, scoring 1 win, 1 loss and 1 draw. He also then fought young Peter Jackson, the Baltimore Demon, on 4 occasions, winning 3 of them and losing 1 with 0 draws. And he fought and lost, okay, to Sam Langford. Big shout out to guys in chat, Drunk Irishman and Martin Dunstan. Next up was Frank Craig, okay, Philadelphia Jack O'Brien defeated him, and then he twice fought the Barbados Demon, Joe Walcott, fighting to a win and a draw. Next up is Marvin Hart, okay, he fought him on 2 occasions, scoring 1 win, 1 loss and no draw. And then he also, okay, fought George Byers, okay, scoring 1 win. He also fought and lost to Tommy Ryan. Next up is Bob Fitzsimmons, okay, who he fought on 2 occasions, scoring 1 win and 1 loss. And he also fought Joe Butler, former coloured middleweight champion, gaining a win over him. Next up was heavyweight former champion Tommy Burns. Philadelphia Jack O'Brien fought him in a trilogy, scoring 1 win, 1 loss and 1 draw. He also then fought and defeated Dixie Kidd. Next up comes Stanley Ketchel, whom Jack O'Brien fought on 2 occasions. As Ketchel fans know, Ketchel defeated him both times, but he did then fight a draw to former heavyweight champion Jack Johnson before closing out this first slide with 2 wins over now Hall of Famer Joe Choinski. So that's an incredible slide there of fights against many top level fighters and many now Hall of Famers. Also on there you've got a whole number of fighters who held coloured titles, you know, whether it be Frank Craig and Butler, who held coloured titles at middleweight, you know, Bobby Dobbs, who held coloured title at lightweight, young Peter Jackson, Frank Craig, a whole number of them. George Byers, of course, held coloured middleweight and heavyweight titles. So you have got an entire roster of top level names there, but we are not done yet. Let us go on to his second slide now. Jack O'Brien actually fought Charles Kid McCoy, the dangerous Charles Kid McCoy as I call him, because he was very dangerous. Now he actually fought him to a draw, but he then did defeat great defensive wizard Jack Blackburn before then also gaining a win over tough contender Tommy West. Now next up, okay, is Charlie McKeever, okay, the capable contender, was fought by Philadelphia Jack O'Brien on 5 occasions, and Jack O'Brien won all 5 fights. Jack O'Brien also twice defeated Irish puncher Peter Marr before then fighting to a draw against Wilmington Jack Daly. Next up is George Cole, another very tough fighter from his time, a very dangerous contender. George Cole, Jack O'Brien fought 7 times, and amazingly Jack O'Brien won all 7 of those fights. Next up is contender, okay, Jack Bonner. The names go on. His resume is actually quite crazy when you look at it. Jack Bonner comes next. He fought him 5 times, getting 4 wins, no loss, 1 draw, and then he 3 times defeated Kid Carter before then also twice defeating Jimmy Handler. Now next up, okay, was Al Neal. Jack O'Brien fought him on 2 occasions, scoring 1 win and 1 draw, and he twice defeated Billy Stift, and then 5 times beat contender Jim Jeffords before then closing on 2 more known names amongst the more recent ones on here. The first is Jack Twin Sullivan, one of the Sullivan brothers, of course. Now Jack O'Brien fought him on 4 occasions, scoring 3 wins with no loss and 1 draw. And he also fought a trilogy of fights, okay, with Mike Shrek. Now again, Jack O'Brien won all 3 of those fights. And when you look at that list of names there and the amount of times that Jack O'Brien has fought them, it is a staggering number of fights. And actually, Jack O'Brien has suffered 0 defeats on that entire slide. Okay, so every fighter on there is either beaten, a number of them beaten a lot of times, or in the case of the fighters he hasn't beaten, Charles Kid McCoy, Wilmington tournament, and Jack Daly, he fought draws with, didn't suffer defeats to. So ultimately, you're talking about, you know, a major slide there full of names. But we are not finished yet, so we have a little bit more way to go. So let us go on to his next slide of opponents. And he 4 times fought middleweight contender Hugo Kelly, one of the top middleweight contenders of the late 1900s. Jack O'Brien fought him on 4 occasions, scoring 2 wins with 1 loss and 1 draw. He also fought Larry Temple, okay, the tough middleweight brawler, on 2 occasions, gaining 2 wins. And he fought a trilogy of fights, okay, against Al Kaufman, the heavyweight contender, scoring 1 win with 2 losses and no draws. He also scored a win over fireman Jim Flynn and a win over Charlie Stevenson. So there, okay, I've gone through 82 fights there, highlighted there. Jack O'Brien scored 60 wins from that group of fights there, with only 12 defeats and 10 draws, which really, considering the incredible level of opposition that he actually has, it is quite an incredible run really, and a lot of top level fighters on there, multiple Hall of Famers on there. Like I say, from his time amongst the early light heavyweights, it is very hard to find a resume that actually betters Philadelphia Jack O'Brien, although he did also fight at middleweight earlier on and at heavyweight later, which is the reason why he never actually defended his light heavyweight title. He moved up to heavyweight, chasing bigger money fights. So there we are, okay, on Philadelphia Jack O'Brien's main opponents. Now when we go on to his knockouts, now Jack O'Brien scored 55 knockouts in his career, 35 of them in 3 rounds or less, and Jack O'Brien also scored 7 first round wins. Now Jack O'Brien scored 1 win inside the distance against champion and 1 against a Hall of Famer. He also scored 2 wins against pound pounders inside the distance, but scored 0 wins against rated fighters inside the distance. And when we look at his rounds boxed, he fought over 1,000 rounds with a total of 1,171 professional rounds fought. 59 of those were title fight rounds. Jack O'Brien also fought 186 rounds against champions, 141 rounds against Hall of Famers, and over 200 rounds against pound pounders, with a total of 212. And when we look at his record against top 10 fighters, top 3 fighters and ring champions, they are zeros due to him being a pre-rating era fighter. So on to the slide against champions. Now Jack O'Brien had 25 fights against champions, okay. He actually scored 12 wins with 9 losses and 4 draws. And Jack O'Brien, for his time, what's a large number of champions for his time, not as many as Langford or certain other fighters, but a lot for his time, in beating 10 individual champions, and they were Bobby Dobbs, young Peter Jackson, Frank Craig, Barbados Joe Walcott, Marvin Hart, George Byers, Bob Fitzsimmons, Joe Butler, Tommy Burns and Dixie Kidd. And when we look at the champions knocked out, okay, Jack O'Brien scored knockouts over 2 champions. They were Joe Butler and Bob Fitzsimmons. So let us jump onto the slide against Hall of Fame fighters now. And Jack O'Brien, he had 17 fights against Hall of Famers with a record of 7 wins, 6 losses and 4 draws. He defeated 6 individual Hall of Fame fighters. They were Barbados Joe Walcott, Joe Choyinski, Bob Fitzsimmons, Tommy Burns, Dixie Kidd and Jack Blackburn. Not a bad list of names, albeit not the biggest list of Hall of Famers beaten for a number of fighters upcoming on future videos, but still an impressive tally and impressive names. He did score knockout or stoppage over one of those Hall of Famers, that was Bob Fitzsimmons. And when we go on to the pound for pound category, we see Philadelphia Jack O'Brien's biggest total from the 3 main opponent categories I'm featuring. Now he had a total of 31 fights against pound for pound rated fighters, with a record of 18 wins, 8 losses and 5 draws. And Jack O'Brien actually defeated 12 individual pound for pound rated fighters. They were Tommy West, Frank Craig, spelled properly this time, Charlie McKeever, Barbados Joe Walcott, Joe Choyinski, Peter Marr, Marvin Hart, Bob Fitzsimmons, Tommy Burns, Dixie Kidd, Jack Blackburn and Bobby Dobbs. Now, interestingly, when you look at that list, one thing that won't jump out to some people is, yeah, there's names on there like Tommy West, who, you know, was capable of giving Joe Walcott tough fights. But when you actually look at the names and consider where they did the main work, you know, you've got welterweights and lightweights like Bobby Dobbs, Dixie Kid. You know, you've got middleweights, you know, like Frank Craig, welterweight, middleweights like Tommy West. You've got former welterweight champion Barbados Joe Walcott. You've also got former middleweights, former light heavyweights and heavyweights. So really, the fighters he fought and beat accomplished many things from divisions from lightweight to heavyweight. Some of these fighters also, like Jack O'Brien, also fought the weights, like Bob Fitzsimmons, you know, Bobby Dobbs, Jab Labber, and a whole number of them fought across multiple weights. But yeah, that's another impressive little info point on Jack O'Brien there. So when we go on to, his record against top 10 fighters. In fact, no, let me read out the list of pound-for-pounders he beat. So he beat Tommy West, Frank Craig. Oh, I did read them out. Yeah, he stopped 2 pound-for-pounders. That was Charlie McKeever and Bob Fitzsimmons. BL, the 1000 list you're doing, curious, is it just retired fighters or is it active fighters? No, just retired fighters. Also on the retired fighter part, what I'm doing is I'm doing my top 1000 in stages. The first 10 videos are ready now, so the next video that comes after today will be the first video on my new top 1000. Now when those 10 videos are done, I'll start working on the next 10 videos, uploading career videos in between. When next 10 are ready, then I'll upload the next 10. I'm going to build it in stages, so I'm not having to grind away. But yeah, only retired fighters, and you know, someone like Tyson Fury, who's been known to retire, then unretire, then retire, then unretire, then say he's retiring, but then sign a fight. Until Fury's been retired a few years, I will not be adding him to my all-time retired rankings. Okay, I want to make sure he's retired for good, and then I will add Fury in. So Fury will appear on a future top 1000, just not this one. But yeah, pretty much retired fighters, except for a few names who have come back at like 50 odd years old, and are never going to win anything, but are still fighting at 50 odd years old. So yeah. So anyway, on to record against rated fighters. Philadelphia Jack O'Brien fought no fights against top 10 fighters, top 3 fighters or ring champions. Therefore, he also defeated no rated fighters and scored stoppages over 0 rated fighters. And when we go on to the title record slide, he had 4 world title fights with a record of 1 win, 1 loss and 2 draws. Jack O'Brien made 0 title defenses, of course, you know, leaving that light heavyweight title. He scored 1 title fight KO. He never, of course, scored any wins in title fights against top 10 fighters, top 3 fighters or ring champions, but he did score 1 win apiece against champions, Hall of Famers and pound-for-pounders in title fights. So when we go on to the final slide, the titles won. Jack O'Brien was world light heavyweight champion. He was also lineal light heavyweight champion of the world, and he was undisputed, i.e. the only light heavyweight champion of the world. So that is the video for Jack O'Brien. So he will be the first fighter to appear on my light heavyweight playlist. The next video, I don't know if it will be tomorrow or day after, but the next video coming will be the first video in my new top 1000. I hope I've typed all the numbers right on the slides, doing a slightly different set of stats this time. The slide looks a little bit different to last time, but I like the layout, so I'm going to be doing that. And I'm doing that simply because, as Paul Gaskell pointed out on the old channel that I removed myself, my top 1000s were on there, so I really need a top 1000 on my channel. I always want to have a top 1000 on my channel, so I'll do it in stages of 10 videos. When them 10 are done, get working on more, upload career videos in between them. When next 10 ready, do 10. And do it in 10 pieces. That's how I'm going to do it. Just so I can chill, relax, and get other work done. I'm working on career files for Felix Trinidad, David Hay. I've finished Sun Kill Moon. I'm working on Ezard Charles. I'm working on Ike Williams. So yeah, busy. But there's Jack O'Brien. Big shout out to you guys in the chat. I'll catch you on the next one. Hang on a minute. I'm the Boxing Librarian, and I'm out for now. Wink, wink, mine.